Hey everyone, got Chris Walker here, the man, the myth, the legend. The leading B2B marketer today. I feel probably the biggest advocate of demand generation. I think Chris, you've probably changed the way people view B2B marketing. Would you say that is the correct assessment?
I like to think that I've had a positive impact on a lot of marketers who have been able to operate at a much higher level and have been able to think differently. And I've seen those success stories from CMOs and CEOs that have taken the leap and built a founder brand, and marketing managers that have gone on to, take rapid growth in their trajectory and become a VP of marketing that they aspired to be. And so I'm happy to have played a small role in those people's success by sharing a lot of the things that I've been learning, a lot of the failures that I've had, a lot of the wins that I've put on the board. And so, yeah, I'm happy. I do like to think that I've made an impact. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
And you've put a lot of work, manual work into this, even before Refine Labs, which was, I think, your breakthrough company, right? I think you mentioned, and feel free to correct me if I get some of the facts you wrong, that when you were in-house, you were working in-house, you were talking to HubSpot people until 2 a.m. You've been hustling, like you've actually been through the woods, right? You've actually been doing that, and not just theoretically talking about these things. You've actually tested those things as an in-house marketer.
Yeah, and I continue to do it today. I like whether you're in-house or not in-house, like I still sit in the meetings with the chief revenue officer and talk through the data. I'm inside of the Salesforce instance looking at the reports. I'm helping companies structure how their budgets look at. And so staying in the work is necessary. Otherwise, we'd come on this podcast. I wouldn't have anything new to talk about. I'd keep
Hmm.
talking about the things that I thought about in 2019. And I've had really strong evolutions over the past, I would say, 12 months in terms of how I'm thinking, because I see the issue. A lot of people see me as a marketer, but I see this issue as a lot larger now, that the issues that are being faced in B2B companies are now at the board, CEO, CFO level, not just a marketing leader trying to transform from lead gen to demand gen. And so I think being in the work creates the evolution and the insights that allow you to keep progressing. So I'm very proud of that.
So what happened in the last 12 months? Because like if we talked if we talked like 5 years ago, we would say that companies were focusing on lead generation. They were doing LGF campaigns on LinkedIn. They were basically raping their audience, their target ICP, just to get those contact info without actually allocating that the specific time in the funnel. And then you came in, you talked about dimension, you talked about basically amplifying content, doing ungated content, all those kind of stuff, which made a big shift. What are you seeing in the last 12 months? Is there another adjustment that is going on that we need to know about, that you're seeing from your data?
The major thing that has changed in a B2B tech company specifically is the way that the company is valued has changed.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the growth rate of those companies have slowed, and the cost to acquire a customer has more than doubled.
Hmm.
And so when you combine all those different metrics, the actual tangible value that an investor or a public market would put on those companies has declined significantly. And so that has put a ton of pressure where in 2021, you could spend $1 million on lead gen and you could have 5 times more SDRs than you needed to search for a needle in a haystack to try and get a meeting. And you'd be fine if you doubled your sales rep headcount and you didn't hit quota and you just laid off those people, the people that didn't work out. And you didn't have all of the pressure around, are these motions actually efficient? And so that has been the core change. It impacts every single department in the go-to-market: customer success, account management, sales, solutions consulting, all the operations resources, the technology purchases, the marketing investments, the BDR, SDRs. And there are bloated expenses and major inefficiencies across this entire system because the system has been built department level silos that optimize within their department and don't see the broader field about how some changes in marketing have impacts downstream to sales quota attainment or sales velocity. And so those are the shifts that have happened in the market today, where now the CEO and the CFO are involved saying, our customer acquisition cost is 51 months payback period. We need to figure out how to get that to 36 months And the executives inside of the revenue leadership and the rev ops department are not able to answer those questions right now. And so that's the major change in the market. There's put a lot of pressure. It's created a whole new opportunity in terms of the type of companies and the categories of companies that are going to be able to help in the future.
What are some of the solutions then? So they need to basically, they really need to make a big impact, and they need to do it in, in 30 something months instead of 51. And they really need to, so obviously there's the cookie cutter things where they fire some people from the marketing, they do less SDRs, yet they add several more tech stacks, right? They try to optimize with some AI into their tech stack. But other than that, is there anything specific that you see that people are adjusting? If it's in the content itself, it's if some sort of play or marketing tactic that they do that they didn't do before. What are you seeing?
I'm happy to weigh in on the tactics at some point, but what's happening overall is what an effect called go-to-market bloat.
Mm-hmm.
That companies spend too much money on a combination of people, processes, technology, and do not get the appropriate ROI in terms of net new ARR. And those bloated expenses are across the entire go-to-market, where they way overspend on events, they way overspend on digital, they way overspend on SDRs, they way overspend on marketing headcount, they way overspend on sales headcount, and they probably have too many specialized roles between solutions consultants and onboarding managers and account managers and customer success reps. And there's just too many resources and too many investments that do not drive appropriate ROI across the entire go-to-market.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a difference between cost cutting and smart cost cutting. And that's
Mm-hmm.
something that I'm trying to put in place, because when finance comes in and finance says, okay, marketing, your budget used to be 12 million, now it's 6 million, go figure out what the fuck you're going to do. It leads to unintelligent cost cutting. It leads to why are we cutting to 6 million and not 8.5? Why are we why do we just pick 50% out of thin air? Why are we doing that? Did we even look at the things that are working and the things that aren't working? Should it be 4.5? Should it be how is the marketing budget compared to what we spend on SDRs and sales and things like that? How do all these investments play together? Where are the inefficiencies in our go-to-market? Is it about creating pipeline? Is it closing pipeline? Is it expanding accounts? Where do we need to deploy those investments to have a balanced go-to-market strategy overall? And so there's a general overspending. And then when you look at the root, it's that the departmental level analytics that companies use allow for micro optimizations. You can get your events to be 10% better. You can get your SDRs to be 10% better. But right now, we need hundreds of percentages better across the entire go-to-market. So incremental changes and incremental analytics are not going to get it done. We need to be looking across the entire picture and making large transformational changes at this point. And the way B2B companies run analytics to drive strategic decisions do not facilitate those types of changes today.
Mm-hmm. So it's more about like the optim. So it's basically more on just like looking at what you've done until now and just optimizing on top of that, and being smart with how you spend the money, but not cutting it, just because just to say you cut it, right? So you go to the CFO and tell them, okay, we're giving marketing half the budget, and see what they're gonna do. I want to talk about what you're doing. Okay, so you've done this, I think 1 year ago or 2 years ago, where you basically stepped out as the CEO of Refine Labs, and you went on to this more chairman private equity kind of position, which I love this type of things. But you don't see it a lot in people who run a service-led company, which I think Refine Labs is in that kind of category. And then you went and built Paceto, and you've got some equity in a company called Hatch, which is basically what I feel like they're kind of like the equivalent to the Gary Vee strategy, right? You take one piece of content, you amplify it 100 times, you create lots of content through one main piece of content. Where did that come from? Like, you stepping out, thinking more strategically, is that basically a big capitalist play? You're looking at this, say, listen, I've got a company that's running, let's go to the next level. That's where the mindset is.
I think there's a lot of dynamics in how we got here. So first off, the strategy from Refine Labs from here forward is very clear. There's not a ton of innovation that's required. There's not a ton of, visionary work. That work has been done. And so what we decided we needed as a leader is somebody that's able to uh, execute across a plan, be a great operational person, be a great culture person, be great at hiring. And Megan Bowen who my business partner is and current CEO, is an incredible person to do that job. So that's one thing. I just thought if you look at it in a silo and just say, what's the best thing for Refine Labs? And when you are a shareholder in a company, a majority shareholder, you have to be looking at it as what is the best thing for the company, not what is the best thing for me. So having that realization and making those decisions became very obvious to make that change. Secondarily, there's been major shifts in how the market operates, which create a ton of new opportunities. I'm very good as an entrepreneur, especially from 0 to 1, looking at identifying new market problems very early by using qualitative customer research and seeing those problems, and then being able to come up with unique differentiated solutions that become new businesses that have a lot of trajectory. So I saw an opportunity. I wanted to go and explore that, both for personal and professional growth, moving into a new space, going from like the demand gen marketing guy to now working with CEOs and CFOs a lot. So that's been a big evolution for me. And I think we're solving very important problems that drive hundreds of millions or billions of dollars in enterprise value when it's all said and done. So it's something that I'm really passionate about. And then lastly, I believe that there should be a collection of companies that have very specialized capabilities that a lot of the people that listen to my content and a lot of the companies that listen to my content need. And so I'm interested in assembling what people would look at as a house of brands. Think Procter and Gamble. Procter and Gamble, but then they have Tide, they have Shout, they have all of these individual brands that have specialized products for certain things. That being able to build that company that has go-to-market operations, go-to-market strategy and data, advertising and content production, website design. And you can continue to build a portfolio of companies that's able to benefit from the scale that my company operates in, but also be able to cross-pollinate and work with companies. I think is just a solution that the market needs today. I think we're also going to see a transition. I think we're seeing it already, a transition from companies thinking they want to do it all in-house to thinking a lot more about leveraging a combination of internal and external resources to get things done, because there are clear, obvious benefits, not only in the financials, but also in the output that you get by having a combination of internal and external resources. So I think we'll continue to see a shift in that direction of a balance where, a lot of the companies we work with spend on their headcount budget in marketing, 95% will be internal headcount. I think we'll see that shift closer to 80% over time, where 20% will be freelancers, fractionals, agencies, consultants, those types of resources that bring in wider perspectives in the market, best practices, where internal resources only see what's happening in my company. We need a lot more views about what's happening at 100 other companies that are like me. And I think that blending of internal, external resources will continue to grow.
And when you look at that like private equity group that you're building, do you see yourself staying in this niche, B2B marketing, business revenue, that kind of game, or do you see it going as a complete like business thing? You might launch like a AI consumer tool or something.
I think, at least for the foreseeable future, we're really focused on a collection of companies that operate within the B2B go-to-market space, which could include sales, outbound, marketing, customer success, account management, anything go-to-market related, I think is where it'll be focused initially. If I was going to go off and do a consumer thing, I would probably do that under a different brand or holdings company.
Mm-hmm. Got it. What do you think about PR, traditional PR? So, we own a modern PR agency. We kind of took this traditional PR game with tech and kind of integrated it into platforms like LinkedIn, Twitter, basically amplifying articles that are on Forbes, Business Insider, those kind of avenues, and it was when we started this out, when we would listen to what you're doing, like talking about dimension and, putting valuable content out there, we said, wow, this is exactly what PR does. You get that third-party validation, and then you amplify it across social media platforms. When you look at PR, what do you think? How important is PR as a tactic to today's B2B businesses? How do you see PR play a role?
I think that the process of excuse me. I think that the process of PR, geez, I need a drink of water and then I'll start this one. We can just cut this.
No, people like seeing you drink water.
um, I think that the process and strategy around PR has almost fundamentally flipped over the past 5 to 10 years based on the evolution of social media and the internet and things like that, where 10 years ago, you would write a press release or something and try and pitch it to somebody to put in the story, because you didn't have distribution to your target customer. Where I think the process today is, number one, you need to have owned PR. You need to have your first party PR, your LinkedIn profile, your email newsletter, your website content, your news section of the blog of your website, those types of things. And then through that distribution and your own distribution to your target customer, you create awareness, which then leads earned PR in, right? This thing's going to go on MSN. If I didn't have any of my owned engine, you would have never asked me for this interview. And
Right.
so owned PR now creates the earned instead of you having to just go and pitch the earned. And you get tons of benefits from the owned as well. And so I think that is really the shift that's happened here, which is the core thing of you need to prove and demonstrate that you have something important to say, which then leads people to want to share that with their own audience, whether it's MSN or Forbes or TechCrunch or I don't whoever.
Love it. Love it. That's exactly the way I think about it. Before I ask you a little bit about some tips that you have, one last question, one last technical question. So, what do you think about Twitter ads, X ads? I mean, have you guys in Refine Labs been playing around with Twitter ads?
I've been out of the day-to-day on Refine Labs for about five months now, so I can't say that I'm like super educated on the experiments that we're running anymore, although I'd like to have more insight into that, and that's something I'm going to take away from this. So short answer, I don't know. From like my own perspective, I'm not very present on X as a platform. I think that when you think about I know that people that were running when it was Twitter, running ads on Twitter, were not getting good performance there
Hmm.
in a B2B setting. The ability to target against a B2B account list on Twitter or X is not there like it is on LinkedIn or even using like custom match audiences on Facebook. So the short answer is I don't know, but I would say that out of all of the available places where you could spend your time and money in B2B, that X is not in the top 5 for me.
Really? So you would put really interesting. Yeah. So you put probably Google, you put LinkedIn, you put Facebook, you put Instagram. I know you're big back. You're big on like remarketing on Instagram, Facebook, right? And then only that you'd put Twitter or probably there's probably Pinterest before, YouTube. No, YouTube.
LinkedIn,
Yeah.
in no particular order, LinkedIn, podcast, weekly live event or webinar that you
Mm,
do through Zoom or something else, retargeting on Facebook and Instagram or all the Meta platform, cold or retargeting on YouTube, organic YouTube shorts. There's
mm,
just a lot email. There's a lot of places that I would go before I ran Twitter advertising.
interesting. Okay. I see that. Is that a Whoop on your you use Whoop? Yeah.
I
So
do.
dude, you're I don't know if it's really like that because sometimes when you look at things from from a different perspective, it's not the same, but it seems like you're a productivity machine. Is that correct? Would you consider yourself a productive individual?
I would consider myself productive. I'm
Hmm.
not sure that I would view myself as a productivity machine. I think that I've built habits that allow me to get things done that I need to get done. I think that I have a mindset that allows me to persevere through times that are hard or periods of hard work. But I also find tons of value in relaxation and taking a vacation and doing things that some people would view as unproductive. And that's something that I've had to learn over time.
So what are some of those productivity tips? Like how do you run your day? Like take me through a day in your life.
I wake up, have a quick bite to eat, work out every morning immediately. I think that it makes you feel good, it makes you look good, it starts your day off with a win, it creates discipline in your life. Some people are like, oh, you should only work out 6 days a week and take a day off. But when I finish working out, I feel good. I feel energized. And so I don't want to take a day off from that.
Hmm.
So every single day for 5 years or more, I work out every day. Sometimes I work out in the morning and in the afternoon, and it doesn't take away my energy. It gives me energy. So I think that has been something that should everybody do that? No. Has it worked for me? Yes. And there's a subset of people where that strategy would also work for you. Um, so there's that. I do not have, Zoom calls or meetings before 11 a.m. I've decided that in the morning, there's certain things that I want to get done when I'm the freshest and I'm the most effective that do not involve sitting on Zooms back to back. I try to limit my Zooms broadly. I block out certain days, so I haven't allowed any types of meetings on Fridays at all for years, but I'm starting to try and chip away at getting Wednesday free as well. I try to set like a theme for every single workday. So like Monday is internal. I have all my internal meetings that day. Tuesday is content. I do all my content production on Tuesdays. Wednesday is long-term strategy. I don't have a lot of meetings. If I do have meetings, they're like shareholder level meetings, and I have a lot of space to think about where are we going long term. Thursdays is a lot of external, so I do customer work, a lot of sales meetings, a lot of tactical stuff on Thursdays. I'll jam all that stuff in. And then Friday, I have a me day. Sometimes that becomes like what would be equivalent to someone's Saturday. Other times it'll be me working on a project I find really interesting. Other times it'll be me cleaning up work that I didn't get done. But I can use that time however I think is best suited for where I'm at. And so having themes on certain days has worked for me. I don't shy away from working on weekends. I think that balance is different for everybody. That maybe not having any meetings on Wednesday and working a couple hours on a Saturday is actually a net positive for me.
Hmm.
So I think that, and a core takeaway is trying to figure out what works for you, not looking at what everybody else says, and then also being comfortable trying things and then changing course. Like I revisit my schedule and calendar every 3 to 6 months and make
Hmm.
changes to it. It used to work for me. I tried this new thing. I don't think this is working anymore. I need to make some changes, and being comfortable making changes like that and seeing how things go, I think is another core thing. I don't know how much of this falls into
It
productivity.
is. And Are
I
you
think
more of like, do you have like a to-do list, or are you just calendar led throughout your whole week?
I typically have a process to figure out the things that I need to get done that are most important. Because in my seat, like if you just had a to-do list every single day, you'd have too many things to do.
Right.
And so you have to figure out what are the things that actually move the needle, and what are the things that if I don't do this for 3 months, that is not going to matter.
Hmm.
And so I have a process in the morning that I go through, which basically level set on my top level objectives. What am I trying to do? Some of those things are 5 years out. Some of those things are something that I need to get done next quarter. There's typically five of them at any one time. And then from there, with that context, then deciding what are the things that I'm going to do today and having a maximum of five things.
Hmm.
Um, and if you didn't have the process of level setting on your goals, what I found is the five things that you want to get done that day are different. When you don't level set on
Hmm.
long-term goals, you fight fires. When you set on long-term goals, you still have to fight fires. There's no way around fighting some of the fires, but you do things that are different and more strategic when you remind yourself about what you're trying to do in the long term.
Hmm. Love it. Do you have kids? Are you married, or
I'm not married. I don't have kids, although I aspire to do both. But yeah,
do you
that's
feel
where I'm
do
at.
you, do you feel that's a competitive advantage for you compared to some of the peers out there, that you don't have kids, you're completely dedicated, no wife?
I mean, you could look at it that way. I don't really think that I compete with anyone on a personal level. It's
Hmm.
everyone's own endeavor. Everyone has their own path. They have their own priorities. Things come into their life at certain times. I don't think that comparing yourself to anyone else is a smart strategy. Some people could look and think about it as a disadvantage. Oh,
Hmm.
you don't have a wife that supports you. You don't have children that give you energy. Like, you could look at it. You could look at any one situation and view it as a total negative or a total positive. It just depends on your own perspective. And so I just look at my own situation as this is my own situation that I can do the best with the situation that I have right now, that I have the ability to decide what are the things that are important to me and go and get those things that are important to me. I might find out later that the things that I thought I wanted, I didn't actually want once I got them, which is totally okay. Um, and so I try to have that level of a mindset when I look at things. Did I intentionally make the choice when I was 27 to say, while all my other friends are getting hitched and getting married, that I'm going to focus on building my company and get a lot of the things and the endeavors and the success that I want before I do that? Yes, I did make an intentional choice to do that when I was 27 years old. Did I have girlfriends and date during that time? 100%. Did I have relationships? Yes. Uh, but my choice was very clear to do that, mainly because in order for me to get married and have that relationship, I felt like I needed to grow as a person and accomplish a lot of the things that I wanted to accomplish to be a great partner.
Hmm.
And so that was the intentional choice that I wanted. I think that it's really hard to be a great partner when you feel like you're not accomplishing the things, that you're not living up to your potential, or you haven't done those things. And so I sort of just made that choice for myself. And I think it's different for everybody. Some people get married when they're 19 out of high school with their high school sweetheart and live a awesome life. I just think it's about thinking about your own situation and what works best for you.
How old are you today? 30,
I'm 34.
34. Wow, dude. When you're 40, hopefully you're gonna be. Can I give an estimation?
Sure.
I think you're gonna be worth $500 million by 40.
I think that's aggressive. I aspire to be at 100. Um, but half a billion's a lot a lot of money. We'll see. We'll see.
Half a billion
Um,
by 40, my friend.
I I appreciate that goal. It is, in my experience, it's great to have lofty goals. Even if, and some the time measured are interested as well. Like, my objective is to build $100 million portfolio, but I do not have a timeline. And when you
Hmm.
don't have a time, there's pros and cons to that. When you don't have a timeline, like if I was like, I want to build $100 million portfolio by next Thursday, then it changes all the things that you do. It makes you take a lot of the wrong things. Having too long of a timeline creates some level of complacency. And so it's like, I've chosen to not have some time bound deadlines, which some people would view as bad or good, but it's what I've hinged on. So we'll
Yeah.
see. It's just about doing the best you can every day, about trying to make the best decision you can every day. And the financial output is really just the output of a lot of smart decisions, a lot of smart business partnerships that you make on a day-to-day, a lot of smart actions you do on a day-to-day. And all we can control is what we do on a day-to-day basis, and the numbers are in the time are going to be the numbers in the time.
Love it. One last question before you go. Favorite book?
I love the book Mastery by Robert Greene. I think Robert Greene's a great author. He's very well known for 48 Laws of Power, but I actually think Mastery is his best book. And for those that are trying to master a craft, when you read the book, you'll literally reach a point where you say, this is where I'm at in the process of mastery. And you can very clearly pinpoint that. And you can also look back in some of the things that have happened in your past and realize that they didn't make sense, but these are actually it's actually part of the process. And a lot of people that have mastered a craft, think Michelangelo or Galileo, or, some more modern people, that a lot of their early career it seemed aimless. It seemed like it didn't make sense. But part of that is having all these different experiences, like me in supply chain and product management and manufacturing, and starting these e-commerce companies that didn't go very far. And all of that different experience actually led me to a set of skills that became very differentiated, that allowed me to see the world in a different way and allowed me to create some of my businesses from there. So that's my
Love
favorite
it.
book for sure.
Robert Greene is amazing. That's a beautiful book. All his books are amazing. Chris, thank you so much, man, for taking the time. You've been a pleasure to talk with. Keep on the great work, man. And we'll talk in 5 or 6 years, man, when you have that half bill.
I would love that. Thank you for having me on the show. Thanks, Omri.
Bye,
Great to
brother.
see
Have
you.
a good one. Bye bye.